The shoes were pink, sparkly, sat in the hallway like royalty. I was maybe 12 when I first noticed how everything that belonged to my stepsister Carrie had a pedestal. Her shoes were arranged in glass display racks. Mine were tossed in a plastic bucket near the back door, still damp from last year's winter. Carrie was a year older, prettier by my stepmother's standards, and apparently some kind of messiah to my father. One morning, I needed to grab a pair of shoes for Jim. I reached for Carrie's pink runners, just to borrow, just for that day. But before my fingers could even touch the laces, a voice cracked like thunder down the stairs. "Put that back!" Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Dad's shadow swallowed the hallway. "You touch her things again, you lose yours," he hissed. "I just needed—" He stormed down like the devil himself. I didn't flinch fast enough. His hands didn't just grab, they hurled. I tumbled backward, down the stairs. My elbow hit the second-to-last step with a crack, my back thudding the wood like meat on a counter. My vision blurred, but I saw Carrie at the top landing, holding her phone, smirking. "Guess your shoes weren't enough for her," she said sweetly. Dad stood at the bottom step, looking down like I was roadkill. "You don't deserve feet if they go near her stuff. Maybe you forgot your place." I didn't cry, not in front of them. I waited until they left, then crawled to my room. I missed school for a week. No one asked why. The bruises faded, but the silence didn't. By 17, things got worse. I worked part-time at a diner just to afford basic supplies. Carrie? She had a closet bigger than my entire room. Dad bought her a car at 16. I wasn't even allowed to use the washing machine unless I paid for the water. Every time I tried to defend myself, I got reminders. "You were the mistake." "She's your sister. You're lucky she lets you breathe the same air. Girls like you don't get anywhere. You're just noise." They called me noise, trash, background. I became a background character in my own home. One night, I caught a fever so high I couldn't lift my head. I begged for help. Stepmom shouted through the door, "It's not our fault you're weak." Carrie banged on the wall and said, "Shut up, we're watching a movie." I passed out, woke up in a puddle of my own sweat. I survived, but something broke inside me that night. Not from the illness. From the answer I finally heard loud and clear. I wasn't their child. I was the family punchline. At 18, I finally left. No goodbyes, no tears. Just enough money to get a small shared apartment and start working full-time at a mechanic's garage. My boss, Ken, was the first man who treated me like I had a brain. "You got hands that think?" he said. That's rare. For the first time, I was seen. Years passed. I built a life. Got my own car. Fixed machines bigger than my past. Never went back. Until last month. I got a text from my father. After 8 years of nothing. "Family dinner. Come, it's time." Time for what? I ignored it. Then a message from Carrie. "Dad's retiring. Don't embarrass us. Just show up. We'll even let you sit at the table." "Let me?" I laughed. But something inside me clicked, not out of forgiveness, out of calculation. I sent back, "Sure, I'll be there." But I didn't show up with empty hands. And I didn't come to sit. I came to make them crawl. The night of that family dinner, the house looked the same, except richer. A new marble staircase, a chandelier that probably cost more than the car I drove there in. The same hallway I once crawled down as a kid now glowed like a museum. Dad opened the door himself. His hair was thinner, but his arrogance hadn't aged a day. "Well, look who remembered she has a family," he said, voice dripping sarcasm. "Didn't think you'd actually come. Must be out of free meals." I smiled tightly. "Nice to see you too, Dad." He laughed like I'd told a joke, then glanced down at my work boots. Still dressing like a factory worker, some things never change. Behind him, Carrie appeared. A vision of artificial perfection, white dress, manicured hands, fake smile. "You made it," she said, her voice full of pity. "Don't worry, Dad. I'll make sure she doesn't touch any shoes this time." Stepmom giggled behind a wine glass. My jaw tightened, but I said nothing. I stepped inside and felt the weight of every memory in the air. The smell of polished floors, the faint echo of laughter that had never included me. Dinner was staged like a magazine cover. Candles, silverware, flowers, and people who thought cruelty was just another form of conversation. Dad raised his glass. To family. Carrie smiled like she was posing for a camera. To the ones who made us proud. Their eyes skipped over me. I sat quietly, my plate untouched. My hands were steady. I'd spent years learning that silence could hurt more than screams. Finally, Dad looked at me. So, what have you been doing all this time? Fixing engines? Changing tires? Running my own shop now, I said simply. Carrie rolled her eyes. A shop? How quaint. Dad, she thinks turning a wrench is an achievement. Dad smirked. You could have been more, you know, if you'd just learned respect. Respect. The word hit me like a cold slap. I remembered the stairs, the floor, the laughter. I learned it, I said softly. Just not from you. He frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I looked up and met his eyes. Respect means not shoving your kid down a staircase because she touched a pair of shoes. The room went dead silent. The air thickened. Stepmom coughed, pretending to laugh. Oh, stop living in the past. You always had a flair for drama. Drama? I repeated, my voice rising just enough. You mean the time I couldn't walk for 2 days? That was drama? Dad slammed his fork down. Watch your tone. You think coming back here gives you the right to talk to me like that? Carrie smirked, swirling her wine. Oh, come on, Dad. She's just jealous she never got the attention I did. I leaned forward. You're right. I didn't. I got the bruises instead. Her smirk faltered. Maybe, I said. You should ask yourself why I came back now. Dad sneered. You think you scare us? You left with nothing. You're still nothing. I reached into my bag and slid a thick envelope across the table. What's this? Carrie asked, her tone instantly greedy. I smiled. Proof. Dad hesitated. Proof of what? Of where your money went. Their faces twitched in confusion. You remember the construction project you bragged about? The one that was supposed to turn your little empire into a franchise? I said quietly. The one you registered under my name when I was still a minor? To avoid taxes? Dad's eyes widened. You don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I know. I've got contracts, bank statements, and the signatures you forged. The color drained from his face. Carrie froze. Stepmom set her glass down, her voice trembling. You wouldn't expose your own father. I leaned back in my chair. I wouldn't, but I already did. Carrie stood, her voice shrill. You're lying. Am I? I pulled out my phone and pressed play. The sound of Dad's voice filled the room, a recording from 2 years ago. He was bragging to one of his clients, laughing about putting business liabilities under the kid's name who disappeared. Dad shot up from his chair. You had no right. I had every right, I said coldly. You used me. You buried me under your mistakes. Now it's your turn to live under them. Carrie shouted, You can't do this to us. I turned to her slowly. Do you know what it feels like to be told you don't deserve feet? To be thrown like trash because you touched someone's shoes? Her face went pale. That was years ago. I still feel the steps, I said, my voice low. Every single one of them. Dad tried to grab the envelope, but I slid it out of reach. Oh, and don't worry, I added. I didn't go to the police. I sent everything to your investors. They'll do worse than jail. The room cracked open. Dad's hand trembled. Stepmom gasped. Carrie whispered something that sounded like a prayer. I stood up, calmly pushing my chair back. Dad tried one last time. You can't walk out on us again. We're family. I looked down at the floor, the same polished stairs that once broke my back, and said, You taught me what family means. You'll get to live with that. I left the house to the sound of chaos. Carrie shouting, Dad slamming drawers, Stepmom crying. Outside, the night was cold. I didn't feel it. I walked away. Slow, steady, deliberate. The same steps I once fell down, I now climbed in reverse. And I wasn't done yet, because for what they did to me, I still had one lesson left to teach. They made me crawl. Now they would learn how to walk. Bear. The news didn't take long to spread. 3 days after I walked out of that dinner, I got the first call from one of Dad's former investors. Then, 2 more. By the end of the week, their empire cracked like old porcelain. Turns out, when your company's foundation is built on fraud, forged names and unpaid debts, pulling out even one brick, especially the one with my name on it, makes the whole thing collapse. Their bank accounts froze, contractors backed out, shareholders filed lawsuits faster than Dad could scream. I watched it all from a distance. I didn't need to speak. The truth did all the shouting for me. But I wasn't done. What they did to me, the years of humiliation, the staircase, the bruises they denied, it wasn't just about pain. It was about making me feel less than human, like I wasn't even worth the shoes on my feet. So I planned something they'd never forget. I waited until their assets were seized, the house was put up for auction, and Carrie's social media silence became deafening. She couldn't show her face, not after the fashion companies she bragged about working with all dropped her overnight. Turns out, when your image is tied to a fraud scandal, nobody wants you to sell luxury. They moved out of the mansion in the middle of the night. Reporters camped outside. A neighbor posted a video online of them dragging suitcases down the front steps, faces hidden under sunglasses. The clip went viral. The comment section didn't hold back. A family that walks all over others now walks alone. Guess karma doesn't come with heels. She don't deserve feet? Look who's crawling now. But I still hadn't delivered the final blow. That came on a Sunday morning. I rented the same ballroom where Carrie's private charity gala used to be held every year. The same place I was once banned from because I didn't match the aesthetic. I made the event look exactly like hers. Same color scheme, same layout, same guest list. I sent out invitations under a new name, pretending it was a luxury networker event for entrepreneurs. They showed up. Carrie in worn-out stilettos, Dad in a wrinkled blazer, stepmom holding onto her purse like it might still buy respect. The moment they entered, the doors locked behind them. On the main screen, a video started to play. No music, just footage of me, of them, photos of my bruised back, x-rays of my arm, bank statements with Dad's forged signature, audio recordings, legal letters, a slow, devastating timeline of everything they ever tried to bury. Guests turned silent. People stepped back from them like they'd caught a disease. One investor actually walked up, looked Dad in the face, and spit on the ground near his feet before walking out. Carrie tried to storm out. She couldn't. Doors stayed shut until it ended. At the final slide, a sentence appeared. You said I didn't deserve feet. Now, none of you deserve to stand tall. When the lights came on, I was standing by the stage, calm, dressed in the same beaten shoes they once laughed at, but I stood taller than I ever had. Dad's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Carrie's knees buckled. She grabbed onto a chair. Stepmom whispered, Why are you doing this? I stepped forward slowly, because I still remember how it felt to lie at the bottom of those stairs while you all laughed. Carrie cried, not from guilt, from shame. I turned to Dad. I'm not you. I didn't break your bones. I didn't ruin your reputation with lies. I just showed them the truth. I walked out of that ballroom while security escorted them to the back exit. And I made sure there was no car waiting. Not for Carrie, not for Dad, not for the woman who said drama queen when I screamed in pain as a child. They stood on the pavement in heels too small, shoes too thin, pride too broken. Guests exited through the front. Some took photos, others shook their heads. I got into my car, rolled down the window, and said one thing. You always wanted to teach me a lesson about walking. I hope you're ready to learn it yourselves. Then I drove away. No ride, no driver, no home. Just the sidewalk, and 3 people who used to stand tall, now walking bare, one painful public step at a time. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.